Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Notorious RBG. What more is there to say? Well, actually, there's plenty. Hi, I'm Gia from FindLaw.com, and today we're talking about the celebrated Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was born in Brooklyn, graduated from Cornell at the top of her class, went to Harvard, but transferred and graduated from Columbia Law, where she tied for top of her class. In 1980, she was appointed by President Jimmy Carter to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, and then in '93, Ginsburg was appointed by Bill Clinton to the Supreme Court. Whew, there is a lot to talk about, but today, we're focusing on some of RBG's most important opinions and dissents from her 26 years on the Supreme Court. Number 1, United States versus Virginia, 1996. Ginsburg got her start fighting discrimination against women. She wrote the first casebook on sex discrimination, established the first legal journal focused on women, and co-founded the ACLU's Women's Rights Project. Just 3 years after being appointed to the court, Ginsburg authored the majority opinion in United States versus Virginia. That case rejected the Virginia Military Institute's claims that a separate military school for women was sufficient and found that VMI's male-only admissions policy violated the 14th Amendment. Number 2, Friends of the Earth versus Laidlaw Environmental Services, 2000. If you lack standing, you're out of luck. And that's something particularly common in environmental lawsuits, where the injury being claimed is often to the land, air, water, or wildlife, not the individual. In Laidlaw, Justice Ginsburg helped make federal courts a bit more accessible, ruling that plaintiffs need not prove particular harm and could claim injury from harm to the aesthetic and recreational values of an area. Number 3, U.S. versus OHagan, 1997. Can overhearing inside information and acting on it count as insider trading? Yep, it does according to Justice Ginsburg. The court held that James OHagan, a lawyer for a company that was considering taking over Pillsbury, was guilty of insider trading when he overheard talk of the takeover and began buying up thousands of shares of Pillsbury stock. This one is a good example of Justice Ginsburg's pragmatic and clever legal thinking. Number 4, Olmstead versus LC, 1999. In Olmstead, the Supreme Court, in an opinion authored by Justice Ginsburg, acknowledged mental illness as a disability for the first time. It was covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act, but Justice Ginsburg's opinion went further than just expanding the reach of the ADA. It held that unjustified isolation of the mentally disabled counts as discrimination under that act, helping to increase the integration of the mentally handicapped back into general society. And number 5, Ledbetter versus Goodyear Tire, 2007. The High Court found that Lilly Ledbetter had waited too long to sue Goodyear for paying her less than her male counterparts. The court said that the very first time Ledbetter was paid less, she should have known about it and sued. But since she waited several years before acting, she was too late. Justice Ginsburg wrote a passionate dissent. Given the limited information employees have about coworkers' pay, Ledbetter's initial readiness to give her employer the benefit of the doubt should not preclude her from seeking justice later. And though Ginsburg was outvoted in the court, she eventually won. The Supreme Court's decision was effectively reversed by the passage of the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act just 2 years later. So there you have it. Just a handful of the opinions from Ruth Bader Ginsburg demonstrate why she's a force to be reckoned with. I'm Gia from FindLaw.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to dig a little deeper, visit FindLaw.com for our articles, blogs, and our weekly podcasts.